This is the first photo that I can recall ever making me any money. I was selling prints at a concert in this same venue, and I sold this photo to the guy in the photo. It was a little 4x6 or 5x7 print, and I was really proud of this photo. 7 years ago, I made the first little bit of money with my camera, and since then I've been learning and experimenting with how to continue making money. But this print, this one print sale, and keep in mind that was the only print I sold that night. It was that photo to that guy. But that print made me realize something, even at the ripe age of 12, that I could make money with my camera. A couple weeks ago, I made a video talking about beginner photography mistakes and ways you can avoid them. But this issue of pricing was on the list of things I wanted to talk about in that video. But when I got to it, I realized that's just too broad a topic to cover in a little 30-45 second bullet point in a video. And I'm just not gonna be able to hit everything in this video. There are very detailed and analytical ways to come up with a scheme for pricing your work that works really well. I am not one of those people that is hyper analytical and has spreadsheets for everything and all this kind of stuff. I'm just not built that way. This is not gonna be something like that. I just want to talk to you about more my philosophy when it comes to pricing my work. So let's start this pricing conversation off by talking about the biggest mistake that I made, and that is I was just pricing it way too low. When I started photography, like I mentioned, I was 10 or 11. I mean, I was young when I started. And so when I started taking jobs and actually doing work for money, I didn't have any concept of what an adequate amount is to be paid for your time and for your work. You know, I would do 2 or 3 hour portrait sessions or long sessions, lots of photos, a lot of editing, and I'd say it's $100. You know, when I was 13 or 14, that was okay. That worked just fine. I mean, it's all the money that I needed. But as I got older and I had more expenses and I had more things that needed my attention, I had bigger goals, I wanted to upgrade gear and all this stuff, I was sort of put into a bind by how low I had set my prices in the beginning. Now, this is not to say that starting off at a low number is bad. In fact, I would encourage you to start off at a low number, but be comfortable with being able to raise that number. As you get more comfortable with your work and the quality of it, as you get more comfortable doing business and your workflow in your business, as all of these things start to evolve in your work, you need to be okay with raising your prices. And for a long time, I wasn't, and I didn't think I needed to until, I was 18 or 19. Like, my prices really didn't change all that much for 5 or 6 years. I had gotten significantly better. I knew what I was doing. I was quicker. My editing was infinitely better. All of these things, and I didn't change my pricing to account for that. That was a huge mistake. I lost out on a lot of potential income just by not being comfortable raising my prices as my skill increases. As you do more work, your work is going to get better. If you're doing it the right way and you're trying to learn and you're continuing to evolve, your work is going to get better. Therefore, your prices need to increase. You're going to get to a point where you're not interested in doing this anymore because it's not worth your time. Your work is so far beyond your price range that you end up just wasting time and losing money. In business, everyone is selling something. And as a photographer, what you're selling, the product that you have to offer, is your work. As the photographer, you determine what your work is worth. And the way I have determined what my work is worth is through a couple of different ways. Firstly is just, what am I comfortable earning for this work? What makes this work worth it for me? How long is that job gonna take you? How difficult is it going to be? Is it going to require a lot of pre-planning? Is it going to require you to go out and find models and find locations? And is it going to require you to do a lot of in-depth editing, Photoshop stuff? Looking at the job in terms of a time investment in it and pricing that way. And when you do that, you're going to find that some jobs take you way less time than you are pricing for, and other jobs take you a lot longer than you're pricing for, like a wedding. A wedding's a great example. I do a lot of wedding photography, and when I was starting out, I had no concept of what my wedding workflow looked like. So I just set a number that I thought was fair for being a beginner wedding photographer, not a beginner photographer, but a beginner wedding photographer. I set a rate that was fair, and my first wedding I did for $1,000, which to some of you might sound like a lot, and that probably means you need to increase your prices. And to some of you that sounds like way too little, and you're probably right. But anyhow, I did my first wedding for $1,000. At the time, before I went and shot that wedding, that was a fair number. After I delivered the gallery to the client, I sort of assessed, how long did this wedding shoot take me? How long did the actual shoot take me? Then I sort of returned to my pricing with this experience, with the wedding experience, and I increased them because $1,000 is not worth it for the work that went into it. My wedding work is now at a much fairer price for me, but that was the way I approached it, is I don't have the experience to price this accurately yet. So I'm gonna just put a number on it, and if that number turns out to be good, that's great. If it doesn't, and it didn't, we'll tweak it, we'll adjust it how we need to. That's the strategy I used when I was stepping into a new field of photography. I priced it according to what I knew from different areas of photography, and then I adjusted it after the fact, so that in the future I am charging an adequate amount for the work and for the time that's going into that shoot. Your pricing is something you need to spend a lot of time and energy thinking about and getting right. I can tell you this from experience. I charged way too little for way too long. Pricing is a really difficult part of this job that nobody really tells you about from the jump, and you generally have to figure it out on your own based on all these different things. So if it's difficult and it doesn't happen right away, that's okay. But feel free to ask questions. I would love to help you if I can. It's a hard thing, so I understand if you've got questions. If you wouldn't mind subscribing, I'd really appreciate it. Leaving a like is always super helpful as well. I hope y'all enjoyed watching. I hope it was helpful. I'll catch you later.